Kitty McScratch here. So, for some of you that either follow me on Facebook or personal friends of mine, or family, you probably already know this, but for any of you that don't, I've decided to go back to college. I went to college for about a year or so, and right after I graduated, I went to Indian Hills Community College for a little bit, and at the time I was just kind of taking general classes because I had no idea what I wanted to go to school for. I had lots of things that I was interested in, but nothing that I really thought was worth pursuing a degree for. Eventually, I ended up starting Flipside with my ex-husband, and at that point, I decided there wasn't really any point in me continuing to go to school because I didn't really need a degree to tell myself that I could open a business. So I did that for almost 8 years. We had that business, got divorced, ended up moving, got married to John. And during the time that I've been with John and stuff, I've been doing all kinds of different things, obviously. But I've really sat and thought about it quite a bit over the last several years about whether or not I wanted to go back to school. And it was one of those things where I would work through different ideas of stuff that I thought I would enjoy going to school for. And a lot of times what it would come down to is I don't know if that one thing is something I enjoy enough to want to build a career out of it. And if I'm not wanting to build a career out of it, is it really worth spending the money going to college? So, fast forward to present time, and kind of what ended up happening was that I've already been doing bookkeeping. When I was running Flipside, I did the bookkeeping for it. And then John and I have a side business, and for that I do the bookkeeping, and I really enjoy doing that work. And it started off with just me wanting to go and learn more about bookkeeping so I could do a better job, because everything that I've done has just been me self-teaching myself. And I was like, well, maybe I can find some courses online that break it down and explain it even more so I can learn in more, more in depth, accounting to be able to do a better job. And as I was looking online and looking at different colleges and what they had, I stumbled across a college named WGU, Western Governors University. And they actually have a Missouri branch, which is the one that I was specifically looking at. And so when looking at them, I found out that they had an accounting program. So I'm going to stop myself right there. I'm going to put timestamps for each of the different sections because I'm going to talk a little bit about WGU, what their programs are like, the enrollment process, so on and so forth. So that way you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to watch the whole thing. To start off, let me tell you about WGU and what I've learned about it. Now, I am going to be reading from some of my notes, so I apologize that I'm not going to be staring at the camera because I don't feel like setting up a teleprompter right now. WGU is a nonprofit online university based in Salt Lake City, Utah. They focus on using a competency-based program. What that means is that instead of tracking how much time you sit in a class and having that be what it's based off of, it's actually based off of making sure that you understand the material. So because of that, it's actually self-paced. And with that, if you understand the topic really in depth already because you have prior experience with it, that means you can get through the course a lot faster because it's just, the testing is based on just making sure that you understand the material. And if it's something that you don't understand, then the testing that you go through will actually show you that so you can go back and study more. But I'll get into that a little bit more later. So one of the other things I learned was the university was founded by 19 different U.S. governors in 1997. Apparently, the idea was formulated at a 1995 meeting of the Western Governors Association to expand education offerings to the internet. Another thing to note is the WGU degree programs are both regionally and nationally accredited by several different organizations. If you want to learn about that, I'll let you go read the Wikipedia page because I'm not going to read off a bunch of letters and I don't know what all of them mean. They've got 4 different colleges within the university. They've got the College of Business and the College of Information Technology that were both founded in 1999. They have the Teachers College that was founded in 2003, and then they also have College of Health Professionals that was founded in 2006. They also have several different branches of the WGU, such as Tennessee, Indiana, but then also Missouri, which is the one that I'm actually under. And specifically, the Missouri branch was created in 2013. So there's some little tidbits that I've learned so far. Back to talking about the competency-based programs. So as I said, it's based off of showing that you understand the material. If, for example, one of my first classes is Introduction to Spreadsheets, and since I have a lot of experience with it, even though the course is paced out as a 2-week course, if I understand it and I test out, getting an 80% or higher on my tests for it, then I pass, even if it only takes me a day or two to get through it. So it's really, really nice, especially for people that already are experienced in the field, because they're not sitting and having to wade through tons of material that they already know and being bored to death by it. One of the things is that for each course there is a pre-assessment that you can take, and in that pre-assessment, if you get an 80% or higher, it automatically unlocks a final exam for you. It also gives you a really good idea of what parts of the material you should focus more on, especially if it's something that you've already dealt with before. Obviously, if you've never dealt with the topic, then you probably want to focus on, reading and understanding all of the materials. But it's especially great for people, like I said before, that already have experience in the field. One of the things that I read on the Wikipedia page about WGU is they talk about with the fact that WGU competencies are geared towards understanding the course material at an equivalent of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. In some ways, this makes it more difficult than traditional college because most universities allow for passing a course and receiving credit with as little as a 2.0 GPA. One thing, if you haven't already figured it out, based on the fact that I said it was an online university in the beginning, is the fact that this is completely online. I think that there's some things, depending on certain branches of the colleges, like with the healthcare one and the teaching one, that if there's certain in-person things, there is some in-person stuff to do, possibly. I don't know, because I'm not taking that, and I'm not taking any classes in those branches, so you'll have to go find information from someone that's gone through those. But with the fact that it's entirely online, I'm actually more interested in that, partially because of the fact that I really don't feel like driving to go to school, because it's not like I can go to school here in town. I'd have to drive at least 30 minutes one way to go to a college or a university that actually has an accounting program. And as much as I really want this degree and I really want to pursue this, having an hour eaten up every single day just does not sound enjoyable to me. Plus, I really would rather be able to, instead of be like, okay, well, I've got an hour and a half or however long the class was to learn this one thing, and then I gotta wait for the next class before I get more homework or more assignments to do. I'd rather just do it all at my own pace. One of the things that's amazing about this program is the fact that, like I said, it is self-paced. If it's something that you understand really well, you can get done really super fast. If it's something that takes you longer, you can take longer on the course so that you better understand it. And for me, I think that that's going to be a lot better, because there are some subjects in which I excel really easily and I understand the materials really well, and learning new stuff comes really easily. But then there are other topics that take me a little bit longer than some other people to be able to get through. And when I was going to college, that was something that got frustrating for me, because I loved it when I was excelling and I was going just as fast as my classmates, if not faster. But then I hated the times where I felt like I was just 2 weeks behind everyone else, and I would get so frustrated with that. One of the things that they don't do is they don't do online discussion forums where they make you go and ask a question and then answer so many other questions, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some great things that you get from that, but that is not something that I want to sit there and hassle with. I would rather just focus by myself. For the most part, there's not really any working with other students. There are some different Facebook groups where you can go and set up study groups and stuff, but really you're encouraged to work by yourself. Partially to help prevent people from cheating on stuff, partially so that, I don't know. But for me, that works out fine. I'm not worried about going to school to meet friends. I'm cool with making new friends, but I think actually it'll probably end up helping me out better because I'm not going to be so distracted. Which a lot of times when I'm around other people, anyone that's gone to school with me knows that A lot of times, unless I was the only person in there, like, that I didn't have friends in there, like, I spent a lot of time talking. And I don't need that when I'm going to school. I really need to focus on my schoolwork. So aside from the pre-assessment, which you take at the beginning of the course to be able to determine where you are with that subject material and how much you understand it, they also have an objective assessment and a performance assessment. The performance assessment is such as like writing a paper, something along those lines. Whereas the objective assessment is actually a test with like multiple choice answers or whatnot. But the objective assessment, it's actually proctored. So you actually have to have a webcam set up showing your workspace and then you actually have someone that watches you the whole time to make sure you're not cheating. With that, like, you actually have to like go and clear off your desk. You can only have one monitor going. So in the case of this, where I've got 3 monitors set up, I can only have one of them running at once, or because of the fact that I'm planning on actually having a laptop that I'm using, I'll be able to use my laptop. So you have to actually have this all shut down with, the laptop. You have to have your desk cleared off. If you have a drinking cup, which is allowed, it has to be clear so they can see into it to make sure you're not cheating. So they do take it really seriously. Those are actually also not open book tests. I can't use any material to be able to take that test. So a little fun fact that I am really entertained with is the fact that the school mascot is Sage the Night Owl. I love the fact that they picked the night owl as their mascot. If anyone that knows me really well knows that I am definitely a night owl, so I feel really happy about that. So in terms of the financial aspects of the school, which is something I actually really love, is the fact that it's actually charged per term. Each term consists of 6 months, and for an undergraduate program, it's, in the case of mine, $3,225 per term. And then for graduate programs, they can cost up to $4,180 per term. They also have a $145 resource fee each term, and that covers all of your books and any sort of resources that they have available, which they have like a math center, a writing center, professional services such as, resources on how to write a resume, things to help you with doing better at interviewing. They have a ton of resources available, which is really impressive to me. So considering the fact that it's paid per term and not per class, if you actually get a lot of classes done, you actually start saving money compared to like if you were to actually go to traditional college. For me, that's a really great incentive because I'm going to be doing school full time. It's going to be me spending 40 hours a week going to school. So the more classes I'm able to go through, that ends up meaning that I'm actually saving money than compared to if I was going into class in person. So let's talk about the enrollment process. I started towards the beginning of August. I ended up going on their website, went and filled out their application. They did have a $65 application fee, but there was a code to have that waived, which I used. So that was super nice in that sense. But the application is super easy to fill out, and I got a response back and was hooked up with an enrollment counselor to be able to work with them to be able to get everything finished. My enrollment counselor's name is Jennifer. She's super, super sweet. Each student gets their own enrollment counselor. They stay with you the duration of your time at WGU. After you get assigned a program mentor, which I'll talk about in a little bit, they don't have as much involvement, but you always have the ability to talk to them anytime that you absolutely need to. If you have any problems with your program mentor, which I don't think happens super often, but I have seen a few people that have had some issues with them, you can go talk to them. They will help you with setting up, getting assigned someone different, for things like that. If you ever have any questions, like, they are there to help you. For me, Jennifer's been amazing. Like, she's been super sweet, very encouraging, and has answered any questions that I've had. So essentially, her job is just to make sure that I get through the whole enrollment process, that I have all the information I need as far as what stuff I need to turn in, helping make sure I get my orientation done, all that kind of stuff. So during the first conversation I had with her, she said that because of the fact that I started after the beginning of August, that I most likely would not be able to start school until October 1st, because they typically require that you have your transcript to them before the 1st of the previous month. So in the case if I want to start September 1st, I would have had to have my transcript there before August 1st. I think it was closer to August 5th or 6th when I had my transcript sent. So because of that, she was like, we're going to set your start date at October 1st. Thankfully for me, it only took about a week for my transcript and my FAFSA information to be processed. And so by the time I talked to her, she said, hey, looks awesome. I got two options for you. You can either still start on October 1st if you want, or if you really want to, we can actually push it up to September 1st because all your stuff is in. And of course I was like, start me September 1st. I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. And part of like me pushing so hard to get all my stuff turned in and getting on the ball about any sort of task that could possibly happen was me really hoping that I would get lucky and I'd be able to start September 1st. I mean, I would have been perfectly fine waiting till October 1st, but really, that would have just been me staring constantly at the computer, obsessing over it. And at least now I'm moving forward. But because of the fact that that was all taken care of so quickly, that meant that I got to start orientation. So orientation is probably about 8 to 9 hours worth of stuff. At least that's according to what they said online. But I would agree with that estimate. I was able to get through it super fast. I found that it got unlocked for me at like 5 p.m. one night. And so I poured through it a bunch that night and then all the next day. And I think I actually had all of it done before I even had my program mentor assigned to me. But with having all that done, then I was ready to go. So let's talk about the program mentor. So my program mentor is Rebecca. She's super nice. I think she's going to be a great fit for me. I think she really matches up with my personality and really I love talking to her already. Her job is to keep up with me, make sure that I'm keeping on time with my tasks that I need to get done for my classes, make sure I'm staying on schedule. Each term I'm required to have at least 12 competency units, which is their form of credit hour, within that time frame done. That's to keep me eligible for my financial aid and also keep me eligible to be a student with them. I can get more done than that. That's totally fine, but I have to have at least 12 units done each term. So her job is to make sure that I get that done, make sure that I'm keeping on time with what my goal is for my degree, and also be my cheerleader. Anytime I have any questions, she's the one I need to go to. Now I will have course instructors who will be different people for each individual course. And so I'll be talking to them when it comes to more specific things on those courses, but Rebecca's always there for me, even if I have questions on that stuff, or to be able to help me with being able to find the information that I need. So, thankfully, since I was able to get through everything super fast, had all my stuff done, Rebecca really didn't have a whole lot of tasks left for me to do. I did get lucky, and on our second phone call, we actually scheduled a little bit extra time, and she went and showed me my first two classes that kind of showed what it looks like once I actually log into them. Also during that second call was when we finalized my degree plan. So the default degree plan is at least 12 competency units each term, and it ends up working out to be about 5 years. Now, I'm not planning on going for 5 years on this. I'm planning on fast tracking things. I want to be done in 2 years or less. Hopefully less. But 2 years is what it's actually set for. So because that's what my goal is, that's what Rebecca is pacing me at. She's going to be keeping up with me to make sure that I'm meeting those goals. And so if it ends up being one of those things that I change my mind and I'm like, hey, you know what? I think it's going to take me 3 years because something came up. Then, she will adjust to those goals and encourage me in that direction. But if I'm actually able to get done faster, she'll just keep moving more courses into my term until it gets close to the end. So that's the other thing that's really nice is currently I have, I think, 5 classes, which end up being, I think it was 14 competency units for this term. Now, that's not the only ones that I can take. Once I get towards the end and I've got all of those done, then I just talk to Rebecca and I go, hey, I'm ready to take more classes, and she'll start moving in one class at a time into my term for me to continue going on. So the sky's the limit in terms of what I can actually get done each term. It's really based on how much time I put into it. If I spend every single waking moment just poring over it, then I'll get through farther. If I want to relax and take a little bit of time on some of this stuff, then it'll take a little bit longer. Ultimately, that's all in my hands, which for me is perfect. So the only other task I have left to do essentially is September 1st, go into the program, go online, go to where my degree plan is, register for my classes, and then start. So overall, the process has been super, super enjoyable. None of it's been super hard. I mean, the orientation, I did have a performance assessment. I actually did have to send in a paper, but it was essentially just kind of outlining what my reasons for going to school was, what my schedule was going to be, that kind of pretty basic stuff, and also just kind of, you know, showing that I understood what I was reading through the orientation. And I did end up sending that to Rebecca for her to be able to look over while we were going through all my stuff. But really, pretty painless process. I mean, it was really enjoyable to me. Like, I can see how some people might be bored going through orientation, but, you know, honestly, I think I enjoyed it more than when I went through orientation at Indian Hills. I mean, it was fun going to walking campus and stuff like that, but, like, really, it had everything I could have asked for in terms of, like, understanding, like, how the program is set up, how the website is used, what resources are available. I don't know. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It also gave me something to do while I was waiting. But, so, at this point, if you have any questions that I didn't answer, which there's always a possibility, especially considering my camera died partway through this and I lost part of my footage and had to restart again. But if you have any questions, let me know. I have no problem answering those questions. If you have, like, any questions more about the orientation process or something else, feel free. From this point forward, I plan on doing a video at the end of each course that I take and kind of recapping what I learned during that course, my struggles with it, what my goal had been, what I ended up achieving, all that kind of stuff. So maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. It kind of depends on the course. Oh, little side note, I've got a little check sheet for each of my classes that I have to do. There was 41, got 2 done, so I'm down to 39. I also have one right up there, so I can keep an eye on, like, my progress through it. I also have, like, a spreadsheet that I've created that I have in my Facebook group where it shows, like, my progress, how many days I spent on each one, like the stats and stuff. Because that's one of the things I've also kind of broken down. I've got a more personal spreadsheet that actually has formulas and stuff set up so that way I can see how many days it's taking me on average per class. Also, like, as I'm going through the classes, how much it's actually costing me per class, and different stuff like that. So I can kind of, like, see all, like, the statistics of it all, because I like tracking stuff like that, especially if I start at the beginning. It's a little harder for me to want to track something if I've already started the thing, because then I'm like, I don't have the data from the first bit. Either way, doesn't matter. But I don't know. I'm just so excited. It's been such a thrilling thing making this decision. It's been exciting. It's been nerve-wracking at times just having to wait, but that's just because I'm impatient. I do have to say that, like, I'm extremely thankful that I have so many family and friends that are so encouraging about it all. John has been amazing. You know, essentially, he's a really good reason why I actually followed through with it, because I was kind of scared to take on, you know, debt with school, but, you know, the fact that, like, he's really, really supportive and he thinks that I should do this and he thinks it's a great idea and he can tell how much I care about this. Like, it's nice having him be like, yes, you need to do this. Like, this is perfect for you. Plus, it's also nice that, like, you know, he's already said that he wants me to focus on my schoolwork. Anytime that I need help with stuff around the house or other things like that, he's wanting to step up and help out a lot more with it. Not that he doesn't already. He already does. But even more so that I can focus more on it. So it's nice having that kind of support system. It makes it a lot less scary to, like, take on such a big thing like this. I guess one thing I didn't mention is once I get done with my bachelor's degree, I want to go for my master's and then also get a CPA license. So that's the long-term goal. I don't know. I'm sure there's more things that I want to say. I'm sure there's other things that I could tell you about everything. This one's a really long video because there's so much information. All the rest will be a little bit more condensed, considering it'll be smaller chunks and less information in general. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Anything you want me to talk about, let me know. And feel free to keep up with me on all this. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. Another thing, don't you dare even start. Midnight. No, don't you hit my tripod.